In this lecture, we are going to discuss the different roles that exist throughout a privacy program. In the previous lecture, we looked at a long laundry list of different teams. This is a shorter laundry list, but a long list nonetheless. And much like the previous lecture, I'm not going to read through all of these different roles here. Instead, we're just going to get started, and I'm going to talk through these one by one. Similar also to the last lecture, I think it's unlikely that you'll need to regurgitate all of these verbatim. Instead, I think it's more likely that you're going to need to know what the different responsibilities for each of these different positions is. And with that, let's get started. So at the top of the privacy food chain is going to be the Chief Privacy Officer in most cases. One title you don't see here because it doesn't apply to the private sector is the Senior Agency Official for Privacy, or the SAOP. The Senior Agency Official for Privacy you would definitely see in the US federal context, but nonetheless, I digress. In the private sector, it is the Chief Privacy Officer, again, that is typically the top leader. This would be a corporate leader of a large organization. And this individual would be responsible for creating strategy and policy. And this role is very typical, very common in large organizations. Just to provide a concrete example of what you might see on the CIPM exam, you may be asked which of the following roles is responsible for creating strategy and policy. And you would have 4 examples. If you see the Chief Privacy Officer there, then that is going to be the correct answer. The second rung in the privacy hierarchy or food chain is going to be the privacy director or manager, whereas the Chief Privacy Officer is going to be considered senior leadership or a member of the C-suite. A director or manager is going to be a mid-level position. They typically report directly to the Chief Privacy Officer. And the manager is going to be responsible for implementing the strategy and policy that the Chief Privacy Officer creates, and also responsible for implementing the privacy program. A director or manager of a privacy program may be responsible for a different subset of privacy projects. So again, think back to the very beginning of Domain 1 when we talked about program management, or a program is going to be the umbrella. And underneath a program, we're going to have a number of different discrete projects. Now, the content here would make you think that it is the Chief Privacy Officer that creates strategy and policy in a vacuum. That is absolutely not the case. I imagine that a director or manager would have a big role to play in the creation of strategy and policy. But if you see on the exam, if they're asking you for who is responsible for creating the mission, the vision, the strategy of the program, that's going to be the CPO. The next rung down is going to be the privacy analyst. This is typically an entry-level position, and the analyst is going to be responsible for carrying out operational tasks. They're also going to do research to support privacy projects. Now, whereas the 3 roles that we just looked at, the Chief Privacy Officer, the Director or Manager of the privacy program, and then the Analyst, while those folks are all housed within the privacy program, these roles that we're going to be looking at for the remainder of the lecture are going to be supporting roles, and they may not be located in the privacy program. Every organization is going to be different. When we're referring to a business line leader, here by business line, we're referring to another function or program throughout the organization. This may be the HR manager, the finance manager, the legal manager. This is a senior level program manager that would be on par with the director or manager of the privacy program. Next, legal counsel. This is very straightforward. This is going to be an attorney who is a legal expert and going to support privacy. Next, we have our first responders. These are generally going to be folks throughout the organization that support specific privacy processes in specific situations. And so we've recently talked a lot about a privacy governance body. We've talked about having representatives throughout the different business functions that would represent not only privacy's equities in their own program, but they would also represent their program to privacy. We can think of these folks, these representatives, as the first responders. These are the folks that a business function would go to first if they had a privacy-related question. For organizations that follow the GDPR, we're going to have a data protection officer. We're going to talk much more about data protection officers or DPOs later, and so I'm not going to replicate those efforts here. The main takeaway now, and something you should likely commit to memory for the exam, is that data protection officers are required by Article 37 of the GDPR. A privacy engineer is typically going to be a software developer, and this person would be responsible for implementing the technical aspects of privacy. And so as this individual or team of individuals is building a software product, as they are doing the coding, they are going to embed privacy by design and default policies into the product, and they will do that throughout the SDLC. Again, SDLC is an acronym for Software Development Life Cycle. Finally is the privacy technologist. And the role of a privacy technologist is very similar to a privacy engineer. A privacy technologist or technologist in general, this is an umbrella term for team members that implement technology to protect privacy. Under this umbrella of privacy technologists can include audit, risk, and compliance managers, data architects and data scientists, system developers, and software and privacy engineers. So again, think of a privacy technologist as an umbrella term and a privacy engineer as being one type of privacy technologist. In this lecture, we have gone over a number of roles and responsibilities for folks that contribute to privacy's success throughout an organization. I'm not going to reread the list here. Of course, you can hit pause and review this list at your leisure.